taste the feeling.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
It says here that Eric Gaylord is back. Where has he been?
Well, I heard he was in the great Northwest hunting for Sasquatch.
Stop.
Really? Yeah.
I've been looking for years. Maybe Sasquatch doesn't exist.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping that all is well with you and yours since the last time yours truly had the opportunity to visit with you. Tropical Depression 7. All eyes now on the Gulf of Mexico. It has intensified to the speed of 45-mile-an-hour wind speeds and has been officially named Gonzalo. Meanwhile, a little closer to home, but also in the Gulf of Mexico, a tropical wave is producing a large area of, thank you God, disorganized showers and thunderstorms over the eastern Gulf. Southern Florida, western Cuba. Gradual development of this system is possible while it moves west-northwest during the next few days. This disturbance is expected to move over the central Gulf today and reach the northwestern Gulf Thursday and Friday. If necessary, the National Weather Service is scheduled to send out a Hurricane Hunter aircraft sometime later today, again, only if necessary. So obviously, all of us will keep an eye, at least one, on the tropics as we head our way into the weekend. I want to start today's show on a good note. It's the time in our lives where it seems like bad news just dominates the news. If it's not COVID-19, it's social unrest, it's racism, it's this, it's that, the other, you name it. But I ran across a story, and with all the, speaking of, bad news that we will discuss for the next 2 hours, I thought it would be appropriate to start with a good news story. Saw this story last night out of Kansas City, Missouri. Like so many others across this country, single mother there loses her job and heads to the grocery store to buy some food for herself and her kids. When leaving the store, Shatera Sims, the single mother, happened to look down on the ground in the parking lot and saw a $1 bill. Again, when she left the store, checking her bank balance, she had $7 left to her name. She decides, I'm going to buy a scratch-off ticket. Purchases the ticket scratches it off, wins $100. After realizing she'd won $100, she asks her 12-year-old daughter, Rakia Edmondson, what do you think we should do with this $100? Immediately, the 12-year-old suggested, why don't we donate this money to the Kansas City, Missouri police officer who's in ICU after being shot in the line of duty? Quote, she won $100, and I said we should donate it to the police officer that got shot for his family to go and eat and be able to go see him. As amazing a gesture as that is, you know it had to come from somewhere. Miss Sims and her daughter know all too well what it's like to be hurt. Rakia, the 12-year-old, her older sister, was murdered in 2012 in Kansas City. The detectives who worked that case supported them throughout, daily text messages, visits to the family, and a lot more. Quote, the detectives were really there for us. They were there for us more than anyone I can imagine. They did things they didn't have to do. They came to see my kids. They did a lot. They were fathers, therapists. They were everything. Ms. Sims went on to say, many people don't know how wonderful police officers are until you're the one that's calling for help. Quote, I've never seen the empathy that they had for strangers. They just gave us hope. They were good for us. But the story doesn't end there. Police were overwhelmed by this gesture and ended up spending days trying to track her down. Sergeant Jake Bacchina, quote, to hear her call and express thanks for no reason other than she's thankful was really touching. By popular demand, the police were able to track her down, although it took a while. Hundreds of people who heard the story reached out wanting to help. So once they learned her identity, the officers started a GoFundMe. So far, it has raised more than $12,000. All of this coming out of a single mom with $7 to her name. And did I mention she had lost her job because of COVID-19? Her 12-year-old daughter didn't bat an eye when mom said, what do you think we should do with this money? She said, we need to donate to this officer's family. Yet again, another example of how good things happen for good people. I can only hope that more people will see the story, more people will help, and that darling 12-year-old will never have her faith shaken by all that's going on around her. All right, that's the good news for today. That's the good news. You know what's next, right? Yeah, it just seems like that's the way of the world these days. Once again, I am saddened for my state because a recent report released shows that once again, juveniles in the state of Louisiana make up the majority of sex trafficking victims in our states. In our state, rather, forgive me. The majority of these juvenile victims are also African American and female. The annual report released by the Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services is the group that compiles that data. Juveniles ages 17 and under account for 543 of the total victims. That is an increase of 57.5% from 2018 and an even larger increase from 2017. The data shows that 106 victims, get this, 106 of the sex trafficking victims in our state in 2019 were 12 years old and under. This says so very much about what is going on in our society. Obviously, it says a heck of a whole lot about the nature of some people. But it also says a lot about us as a society. I find it incredibly hard to believe that there were not adults aware that this many children were being trafficked for sexual gratification. It is another case of how we in the state of Louisiana once again find ourselves at the top of a bad list and at the bottom of a good one. Typically, children that start this life in that fashion never ever recover. It's a sad commentary. And while the numbers may and should appall you, these are only the ones we know about. Just imagine how many kids there are that are, quote, underneath the radar. My pastor is fond of saying you can tell a whole lot about a society by how they treat the elderly and their children. This, my friends, does not speak well of the state that I love so dearly. And I can only hope that the Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services will make this information available as widely as possible. And hopefully, the people of this great state will do whatever is necessary to halt this ugly and ungodly trend. In the end, it's our future that we're talking about here. Need to get our first break of today's show out of the way. We'll do that, and we will come back and continue to soldier on through hour one of our midweek edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, right here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345. From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La CONTEA takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La CONTEA, your Italian dining will change forever.
That's right, the Clarence Bug Show is back. Along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together. South Louisiana's talk team. And it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon right here on the Pelican.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bellelo's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bellelo's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Welcome back to hour one of our midweek edition of the Clarence Bug Show. I've mentioned in the last break, the last segment rather, that it seems as though all we get is bad news these days. But I did my part. I gave you one good news story to start the day. Now, continuing in the normal vein that we've all become accustomed to, this really, I'm sure, came as no big surprise to anyone this week. We may have been unrealistically hoping for something better, but if you've been out and about these days, you know that we still have a bunch of folks out there that are not doing what's in our best interest to deal with the numbers of COVID-19. As a result, Governor John Bell Edwards this week announcing that Louisiana will stay in phase 2 of reopening our economy at least until August 7th. The previous order had been set to expire tomorrow, but obviously that's not going to happen. The governor says he will sign an extension of the previous executive order, which obviously also includes a statewide mask mandate and limits indoor social gatherings to 50 people, while also prohibiting on-site consumption of alcohol at bars for at least another 2 weeks. The decision, if you've been watching the numbers, you know that's why I said most of us figured this was going to be the next course of action. A large spike in coronavirus cases that require hospitalization. The governor says some facilities, hospital facilities, are choosing to delay non-emergency procedures on their own so that they can divert resources to the ICUs, intensive care units, in their respective facilities. Dr. Alex Bu with the Office of Public Health says, quote, "We've now very clearly turned a corner in the wrong direction." The state, by the way, is asking for more medical personnel from FEMA to assist us in this battle. Governor Edwards says that although they've not agreed to send nurses and doctors to Louisiana just yet, he is seeking additional resources to help us in this fight. This pretty much guarantees that Louisiana high school football, that cherished institution, is not going to happen when we hoped it would happen. That's not to say that football is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen on the timeline that so very many of us have become accustomed to. The Louisiana High School Athletic Association saying right now, best case scenario for games to be played, best case scenario, mid to late September. It is, again, if you've been keeping up with things, something that most of us thought in all likelihood was going to happen. Well, welcome to the club. Those of you that didn't think that it was necessary to protect yourself and others, well, this is the result. Oh, and speaking of sports, scheduled for the show later today, I'm sure you've probably heard by now, SWAC fans, Southern fans, Jackson State, Grambling, so on and so forth, are moaning, are crying in their coffee this morning after it was announced that the season for SWAC football is going to be pushed back to the spring. It is, again, something that if you had just a little bit of foresight, you saw this one coming. And unfortunately, the preponderance of folks that, you know, don't possess the ability to look down the road chose not to do what is recommended be done, and as a result, we now find ourselves where we find ourselves. Hopefully, and I emphasize hopefully, because the reality of the moment and based upon what I've seen on a day-to-day basis, I don't think it's realistic, but hopefully mid to late September, we'll be able to start resuming activities of that sort. But that obviously is predicated strictly on individuals doing what should be done and what needs to be done. By the way, before we get to the segment talking about Southern football and the SWAC, want to take a little bit of a liberty and help the folks out at Southern University. They've got a marvelous effort underway. What better way to show your school pride? I should have given you the heads up on this, Marty, and you could have maybe given us a close-up on this. Forgive me, I didn't think to give you the heads up on this. But Southern is manufacturing for sale 2 versions. There we go. Thank you, Marty. 2 versions of this washable, reusable, breathable mask. It has, of course, the SU logo on it, as you see right there. And you can get it either in, thank you, Jonathan. That's why you are the man, my friend. You can get them either in the Columbia blue versions that you see the young lady and the young man wearing there, or the gold version as the young lady in the middle is wearing. 50% of all of these proceeds will go to student financial emergency assistance on all 5 Southern University campuses. You can go to subr.edu and you'll find the link there online. You can also, those of you that are either passing through North Baton Rouge or live in that area and love that university, you can purchase those masks at the university bookstore. Everybody knows where that is on campus. Support Southern University. It is our school. It is staffed by our neighbors and friends, and of course, for many of us, our kids and our money go to that institution. So if you are tired of the disposable masks and all the inconveniences that come along with that, grab you a couple of these, send them to friends. And of course, they are washable and reusable, the best kind. Speaking of COVID-19, as if we can talk about anything else, right? Researchers here in the capital city need your help. They are looking for volunteers to participate in a study that offers participants free COVID and antibody testing. The Baton Rouge COVID-19 prevalence study has released new information regarding their project, which started yesterday, continues through the week, and possibly into the weekend. This study is being led by some very respected individuals, researchers at Ochsner, in cooperation with the Pennington Biomedical Research Center. They will provide both free COVID-19 testing and free antibody testing to a representative sample of residents in East Baton Rouge, West Baton Rouge, Ascension, and Livingston parishes. It is an all-inclusive study and is aimed to give us an idea, a representation of a mini capital region, M-I-N-I, not M-A-N-Y, capital region. They need to find out the prevalence in age groups, different ethnicities, different communities, so on and so forth. You've got to be 18 years of age or older and a resident of EBR, West Baton Rouge, Ascension, or Livingston Parish. If you're interested in taking part and helping out in this regard, testbr.org is the website that you need to check out. testbr.org. Just occurred to me, I did not give you the parameters. Okay. You got to be 18, got to be a resident, and you cannot have tested positive for COVID-19 previously. Individuals who were tested and the results were negative, you are eligible to take part. If at all possible, and I know a lot of people these days are deathly afraid of going to a healthcare facility because they're thinking to themselves, well, that's where all the sick people are. That's the last place I want to go. Well, as a recipient or a beneficiary, if you will, of living in the greatest country on the face of this earth, there are civic obligations that come along with you being granted, given this citizenship. And there's probably not a single person watching right now that doesn't know someone that has been very adversely affected by this pandemic. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for others, if at all possible. And again, we are talking Ochsner and the Pennington Biomedical Research Center, two well-respected and highly reliable organizations. If at all possible, please, we beg you, do your part and help us all get past this. We are coming up on our bottom of the hour break. We need to bang this puppy out and get it out of the way. SWAC football, if you were thinking about tailgating this fall and rolling into Mumford Stadium for the bands and the pageantry and all of that, well, you're going to have to wait a little while, my friends. Not that it's gone forever, but you're going to have to wait. That's next on the Clarence Buggs Show. Stay close.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruget Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Jaguar Nation, we need your help in masking up Louisiana.
Masks help us slow the spread of COVID-19.
During this time, we must continue to wear a mask. Wash your hands and practice social distancing.
It's important that we continue to abide by the CDC's guidelines to stop the spread.
Jaguar Nation, we challenge you to mask up.
Go Jags!
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Welcome back to Hour 1 of our midweek edition of the Clarence Bug Show. I mentioned heading into the last commercial break that if you were like me and you were literally salivating at the thought of SWAC football rolling around in the fall and all of us kind of getting some sense of normalcy, well, we're going to have to wait a little while. That is because the SWAC Council of Presidents and Chancellors held a meeting recently and decided to postpone all fall sports until the spring. Joining us to talk more about this is the head of the athletic department at that great institution, A.D. Roman Banks. Roman, how are you this morning, my friend?
I'm doing well under the circumstances. It's a good day. Woke up this morning, got good reason to good health and strength, so willing to do what I can on this daily journey.
That's a good way to start it. So what went into this decision to postpone fall sports until the spring?
Well, a lot of factors when it help us make the determination of this decision. And be mindful, this is something that we've been working on for weeks, months, as it relates to the COVID virus coming on the scene. And I will say that our commissioner, Charles McCullin, and our council president worked closely with the athletic directors and took the recommendation to move our sports to the spring. And so the number one driver, when you start talking about finances and everything, the number one driver is being able to put mechanisms in place to keep our student athletes healthy and safe in their well-being mentally and physically. And after laying everything out on the table, we just knew the best decision was to buy time for us to try to help the professionals in the medical world and the science world to come up with some solutions to COVID-19.
So when football resumes, how many games are we talking about being played and under what circumstances, Roman?
Well, I think one of the great things in our conference, and I think we're the first to put a blueprint out. We didn't just say that we was postponing or canceling. We say that we was pushing back to the spring, and we put out a format, a football schedule format, and that states that we'll play each team in our division. That means that we'll play four teams on our side. we'll play 2 games in the other division, and that means that one will be home, one will be away.
Right.
And you have a third game that could be a 7 game where you can play a non-conference game if someone else playing in the spring, or you can cross over and play another team on the other side of our division, or not play at all. And then with that being said, there will be a championship game on the best record campus at the end of the day.
How much did the location of the member schools in hot zones around the country and the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on the black community weigh into this decision, Roman?
Heavily. I think that we all understand as leaders that we have a responsibility to our student athletes and to the community that we serve and to our faculty and staff. And obviously, just at Southern, we have some athletes with underlying conditions. We have coaches with underlying conditions. And certainly over half of our fans fall in that category. And being in these southern states where, these numbers keep climbing and the areas where we have to go play, there's a huge concern. And so we had to make the determination of protecting who we are as a HBCU conference.
Does this mean then, since we are looking at rescheduling, postponing the season, or for a while, if you will, does this mean now that the Bayou Classic potentially is back on the table to be played in New Orleans?
Yeah, so Bayou Classic, New Orleans has always been the home site for Bayou Classic, and we don't anticipate that changing. We know that they was faced with some challenges, and so we knew that we had to start looking for alternative sites if New Orleans can host it. So being that once we get the new schedule out for the spring and get that determined date of that game, and then our first option would give the Superdome in the city of New Orleans the first option to see if they feel like they're ready to host.
Right.
And if they are, it'll be in New Orleans. If not, then it'll be at a location as we continue to try to find the very best for both fan bases.
Have you received any feedback from the public since this decision was announced? What are you hearing from fans?
Well, fans are like myself. We all was eager, like you, eager for football.
Right.
But they understand our conviction, and we've been getting a pat on the back for protecting our student athletes and the community that we serve. And not only that, I think that because we had 100% total transparency, we came out with a plan of saying, okay, this is what we plan on doing, and gave a blueprint for the spring. So we had a solution, not just saying, hey, we're going to talk about it later. We had a solution to our proposal.
What sort of hit are you expecting to the finances of the athletic department because of COVID-19 and all that's involved in that?
So certainly, let's get a clear understanding. Moving the games to the spring wasn't based on finances. Certainly, we hope that we can get a crowd, and COVID has gone, or we can deal with it a little better, get better crowds.
Right.
But we already in the losing category, and so we expect something like $3.5 million going to impact our athletic department.
Wow.
But all campuses and athletic department, doing their foreseeing budget in the future, know that it's going to impact us, and we really feel like that it's going to probably take us 2 years to climb up the hill to get back to where we need to be.
Wow. So how much is how is your training staff holding up? I've got to imagine the training staff has so much more on their plate these days than they're accustomed to. How are they holding up, Roman?
Well, I tell you one thing, pushing this thing back give us a little bit more opportunity to get some other tools that we want to invest in for the training staff. You're talking about a staff coming in at 5 in the morning, not leaving out of there till perhaps midnight.
Wow.
To do due diligence to take care of our student athletes. We're not in a situation, and this part of our process of making this decision, we don't have the longevity of staff of the numbers that can deal with multiple sports and even 2 or 3 huge sports
Right.
And so that was a factor weighed in. So we give our student athletes the attention that they need to deal with this COVID, to deal with their mental health, to deal with their physical elements and injuries and so on and so forth. There's just so much responsibility they can handle. And so certainly this gives us a little bit more time to try to get some new tools in and perhaps try to get more doctors involved with our training staff facilities that can assist us. And we're doing, and I'm thankful for our medical partners because they're stepping up to the plate greatly.
Any idea, Roman, when we can expect to know more about the accommodations for the other fall sports that have been postponed because of the pandemic?
Yeah, so their sports are a little different. And obviously football, we're in FCS, and so therefore we do not play in a big bowl game. Our bowl game is originated through the MEAC conference, a challenge, so to say. And so therefore we could go on with football and play and know that we have a championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of different. The other sports have championships through the NCAA, the AQ qualified, automatic qualifying, the best team that win the conference tournament.
Right.
And so if the NCAA is going to go on with a championship, now we have to make a determining factor. Can we start these sports later in this fall, or if not, if we're going to try to play in the spring, do we play in the spring, or we do not? The long and short of the answer is that we do not want to jeopardize the student athlete's eligibility by playing if we cannot participate in championships,
right,
and not be able to get them their year back. So we want to be able to put ourselves in a position like baseball and softball, where if we don't play, that they can get the year back. And so there's communication between the conference office and the NCAA or how the NCAA is going to regulate their championships.
Speaking of those young people, the athletes at Southern University, how are they dealing with all of this? Have you been able to converse with any of them? And what's the morale like among those athletes?
Well, certainly, and I think our coaches, we had a meeting on Monday morning. I wanted the coaches to make sure they speak to their student athletes before this hit the media. I've been able to talk to a handful of student athletes, and though they are eager and they're excited and they're resilient, when you have the conversations, they understand the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And so I think with all young folks that they're disappointed, but I think they're disappointed with an understanding. Mm-hmm. And some are really mature enough and they really understand this pandemic and what we're going through. And so I would say that basically in the grand scheme of things, they're disappointed because they don't have a season, but they're very understanding of the reasons why, and just hoping that they can have some type of season this year.
Roman, you have always been open and honest with me for every question that I have put to you, so I expect that you will continue that trend for the next question. If you'd known that all this was coming, would Roman Banks have accepted the job as AD?
I'm gonna put it to you this way.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it to you this way. I don't want to get philosophical or anything like this, but I have a true conviction. I'm not perfect, but I feel like that the opportunity knocked on the door, and I try to answer those questions or answer the call to what's my next move, not by my physical, emotional, and state of mind just here on earth, but my spiritual decision. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that I would have done nothing different, because I do believe if you're ordained to be in a certain position, then you have all the tools in your toolbox to deal with it, and you're the chosen one for that particular period in time.
Well, I am a man of faith as well, my friend, so I don't mind you getting philosophical one bit. Not at all. And how are you holding up through all of this? I mean, I can't imagine being in your position as the guy who is charged with accommodating all these different sports, all these different young people, all these coaches, all this staff, that's got to be pretty taxing on your end. How are you holding up through all of this, Roman?
Well, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful, first of all, for the coaches. They really, when I say that we try our best to be a family, that they're really understanding. I try to be transparent with them, and so they actually been an anchor in this while we're going through this transition and have given me a lot of support. I'm blessed and fortunate to have a president who's able to listen and reason and have an open line of dialogue and give me the ability to bring recommendations to the table and support it with facts, and we move forward. Our board of supervisors have been really, really good. DeMoran Rutledge, our chairman right now. And most of all, I'm thankful for my family, my wife and my kids, and they've really been supportive because not only that, we have had, during this time, we have had our own personal challenges with COVID, and it's hard to separate the two, but I'm thankful with the support that I have at home from my parents, from my mom now and all, that I've been able to be insulated, and I'm very thankful for that, and that helps me wake up every morning and deal with this process.
Well said, sir. Well said. Roman Banks, Athletic Director for Southern University. As always, good information. Thank you for the time, and thank you for looking out for us. We appreciate that, Roman.
Yes, sir. Look forward to speaking with you again.
Same here, my friend. All right. Even though Marty didn't set my countdown clock for me, you know, I got this little built-in thing. Marty who? Marty who? We don't need white people. There you go. Final break of today's show. Make that hour one of today's show. You see how you throw me off there, Marty? We'll bang this out. We'll come on back and continue on with the midweek edition of the Clarence Bug Show right here, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Exiles from what, you ask? Exiled from the radio, but now we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La CONTEA takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La CONTEA, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to the midweek edition, hour one of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, there is something to be said about finally having a moment of clarity, end of quote. You have probably seen and or heard or read about the very public spat between the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, and the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Chicago for decades has suffered with homicide rates that are just astronomically high. And earlier in the year, when the president mentioned that he would be willing to send federal law enforcement officials into Chicago to help quell the violence, of course, the Chicago mayor, being a Democrat, screamed bloody murder. Well, Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, has now had to acquiesce and allow federal law enforcement officers to come into Chicago and assist in quelling the violence there. It is amazing when and how moments of clarity arrive for different people. In this particular case, the straw to break the camel's back occurred this week in the middle of the week. And, you know, in recent memory, on the Monday show, because the numbers were so horrifically high in Chicago of African Americans being murdered by other African Americans, we give you a tally from the weekend. Typically, anywhere from 60 to 70 people shot, anywhere from 10 to 15 people dead every weekend for the last 6 weeks or more. That's not counting what happens during the week. That's only on the weekend. Well, this week, Tuesday, middle of the week, large group of individuals go to attend a funeral for an individual that was a victim of an attack with someone wielding a gun. After the funeral is over with, 15 people were shot in a drive-by shooting. 15 people shot at a funeral, for God's sake. Now, lest you think that's an outlier, lest you think that's an abnormality, lest you think this is something that never happened before and will never happen again, I submit this to you. Last year, 13 people shot inside a facility where a memorial following a funeral was taking place. In 2018 in Chicago, 6 people shot outside a church while leaving a funeral, and 5 people in the crowd when the shooting started from the gunman produced their own guns and returned fire. In 2013, 13 people shot at a gathering, including a 3-year-old child. So far, just this year, in Chicago, 414 people have died from gunshot wounds. Homicides are up 51% this year. Shootings are up 47%. So, yeah, Mayor Lightfoot, you've got a problem, ma'am. And listen, y'all, I understand, I get it. I see it every day. Some of y'all have been so persuaded by the media that you can't say the name Donald Trump without losing your mind. It is beyond that for many people watching right now. I understand the influence the media has on people, often categorized as subliminal seduction. I get it, although it's not subliminal these days. It's about as overt as you will ever encounter. But when you've got a problem of this magnitude, it is long since past time where you put aside your personal feelings and do what is best for the city you serve. Sadly, this is nothing new in Chicago and many other cities around this nation. It saddens me. The Chicago Sun-Times, one of the big papers there, quoted witnesses at the scene, and one of them said, "This is nothing new. We've kind of gotten used to it." How sad a commentary is that? I mean, how do you arrive at a point, and how do you allow to continue a situation where when you're getting ready to attend a funeral, you know how you go through a checklist in your mind before you leave to go to whatever your appointment happens to be? In all likelihood, if it's a funeral, it's going to be one of two places, either at a church or a funeral home. So if the funeral's at a church, how do you come to grips with the conversation you have with yourself or your family member that's going to the funeral with you? You got your Bible? Oh yeah, I got it. It's in the car. Got some tissue in case mama, starts crying? Oh yeah, I packed some in my left breast pocket on my blazer. You got some breath mints? Oh yeah, I keep some Tic Tacs, got them in the console in the car. Okay? You got your gun? Oh yeah. Extra clip? Right here. For a funeral, for God's sake. And you would have, as the mayor, after swearing an oath to protect the citizens of that city, you would have the unmitigated gall to turn down help for a situation that has existed for decades. Sadly, many who cannot say the name Donald Trump without losing their minds, many will fault the president and say, he knows what's happening here. Why didn't he do something? Darned if you do, darned if you don't. The problem with that is that black folk continue to die in record numbers at our own hands. Hour 2, next.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
taste the feeling.
Bellelo's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bellelo's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Welcome back to the midweek edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Were you on camera just now, Marty? Oh, man. I don't know. It's, okay. The benefits and practice of teaching. Okay. Thank you, sir. I was asking Marty to assist me in defining the word pedagogy. I'd never seen that one before. P-E-D-A-G-O-G-Y. I know that I have gotten much older, due in large part to how I accept things, how I view things, and how many things I've seen during the course of my life. And it is particularly disheartening to watch our society amass all this technology, all these scientific advancements, and at the end of the day, we continue, many of us, to be dumber than a box of rocks. The social upheaval in our country has led to many people seeking to address social ills. The latest of which I ran across last night comes from the English department at Rutgers University. Well-known university in academic circles, if memory serves correct, an Ivy League school, looked upon with the likes of Brown and Columbia and Yale and Harvard and so on and so forth. The English department there is undertaking an effort to address social ills by de-emphasizing traditional grammar in conjunction, in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. The English department at Rutgers announcing recently a list of anti-racist directives and initiatives for the upcoming fall and spring semesters, including an effort to de-emphasize traditional rules of grammar. It's been a while since many people watching right now have taken part in a structured classroom setting. I get it. It's been a while for me too. But even with Common Core and the new math, I understand that 1 + 1 still equals 2. What Rutgers University and their English department have done, they have insulted black people beyond any measure. What they are saying here, in essence, is that in order to have solidarity with Black Lives Matter, we're going to change the rules of grammar because, after all, black people just can't seem to grasp the concept of conjugating a verb. They can't, God bless their hearts, for whatever reason, understand that you don't end a sentence with a preposition. Black people, Rutgers, at least this professor, must be thinking, still after all these years, have a problem understanding tense. Past tense, present tense, future tense. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with the professor or professors that came up with this. All I can come away thinking is either the person that came up with this is attempting to assuage their white guilt, or they think by dumbing down the rules in arguably the most important thing in your life, the ability to communicate with others, particularly in a business setting, maybe these people are thinking this will endear them to black folk. Then again, I guess there's a third option. They are racist at their very core and are seeking to dumb down even more people of color. What may be scariest out of all of this is that it comes from academia. The institution that traditionally we like to reserve for our best and brightest. The people that came up with this apparently never took the time to examine how is it that Asians who immigrate to this country, and by the way, never spoke English a day in their life, come here and learn our language and can abide by the grammatical rules that have been set down for, I don't know, eons now. How is it that other brown-skinned individuals that move here learn the English language and abide by the rules of grammar? It is an insult beyond belief to think that someone out there is of the opinion, bless their little old hearts, them black folk, boy, they try, but they just can't learn. We need to dumb this thing down for them. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with the idiots that came up with this idea. I may have told you this story before. And as much of an indictment as it is on Rutgers, it is also an indictment on our education system. I'm in a store a little over a year ago. And the line is long, and you know, everybody's standing there trying to be patient, and we're kind of huffing and puffing a little bit. The cashier on duty, young lady, looks like she probably just graduated high school, is calling for some help from a fellow employee in the back. Calls him 3 or 4 times. Eventually, the young man walks up to the counter, and this young lady asks, first she makes the statement, "I've been calling you." Then she asks, "Where you was at?" I was crushed. Here's a young woman that for a minimum 1 hour every day for 9 months of the year for 12 straight years sat in an English class, went to a myriad of other classes, and never once did she hear an English teacher or any other teacher ask where you was at. Now, for the record, for those that don't know, there are rules to everything, grammar included. There is no conceivable, and I'm going to save y'all the mental strain of trying. There is no grammatical scenario where any word in the English language, I'll let you pick it, is appropriate after where you was. It does not work. But as if to add insult to injury, what the heck? I'm going to throw a preposition at the end of it. Where you was at. After feeling so saddened, saying, my God, we have sent this young person to school for 12 straight years, every single day, taking an English class, and this is what we're producing? So I thought to myself, okay, analyze this. 24 hours in a day. Let's say 8 of them, if you get the correct amount, 8 of those hours, you're sleeping. That's a third of the day. For this young person, second third of the day is spent in an instructional setting, in school, learning, being taught. So that only leaves another third of the day where you matriculate in whatever neighborhood, community you happen to live in. That individual, despite an hour a day, 9 months a year, for 12 straight years, either does not grasp the concept or doesn't care about the concept. Listen, please don't take this the wrong way. This is not to denigrate that young person. It is to reflect upon what we are doing with our future. A business owner cannot, will not hire someone, much less promote them, if customers standing in line hear that person ask where you was at. Our kids deserve better than this, y'all. I was trying to imagine what I would feel if I were a student, African American, at Rutgers University, and I saw this email where we're going to be in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. We got to help black people, young black people out. They can't really speak the language. I mean, you know, if it's Ebonics, that's one thing, they can do that. And even though the Asians can learn it, even though the Latinos can learn it and observe the rules of grammar, bless their little old heart, black folk just can't do it. I tried to imagine what I would feel like. The message being sent subliminally is that y'all are not and never will be good enough. Matter of fact, like everybody else here, you don't possess the ability to learn. Again, maybe it's white guilt. Maybe it's wanting to be endeared into the hearts of black people. I'll leave to you to decide which one it is. All I know without a shadow of a doubt is that it is the biggest insult you could ever give any race of people. Just saying. I'm late on the first break. Oh, let me go ahead and take it. Who is it, Mark? Mark, my man. Mark, how are you this morning, my friend?
How you doing, Captain?
I'm a little hot under the collar over this thing at Rutgers, but I'll make it. I'll be all right. I'm a big boy. What's on your mind, Mark?
Got two questions for you, really, and one's about the vocabulary.
Okay.
I was reading the paper, and I was reading an article about an arrest that was made on one of the past shootings we had, and the word black male was that was arrested, the B was a capital.
Right.
And I said, oh, this has got to be a typo error or something like that. Then I saw it on the news, the national news, where that all news has got that's printed has to capitalize black.
And they don't capitalize white.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I thought it was a typo error at first.
Nope. That is.
But I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And my second question is this for you. If you could change places and be the Lord Almighty himself, and you look down on the societies of the entire world today and see what's going on with what you created, what would you do?
Marty just said flush the toilet and start over.
Well, I'll let you have it and see what you say with it.
Thank you, my friend. Mark, take care. That's a heck of a question, Mark. That's a heck of a question. There's a part of me, Mark, that says I would figure out a way to help those who cannot help themselves. But I would also have to ask myself at the same time, do they really want to be better? I'm not the possessor of the ability to look into anybody's heart and see what they truly want. All I can do is go by what they say. But I would like to think that even in today's society, the desire to better one's self is as strong as ever. I could be wrong. I could be a Pollyanna beyond belief. That's just who I am. You ask the question, I give you the answer. I would like to think that underneath all the frivolousness, underneath all the chicanery, underneath all the idiocy that permeates society these days, the desire to better one's self still reigns supreme. At least, for God's sake, I hope so. I'm a little late. Let me get this break out of the way. I hope that answered your question for you, Mark. I want to talk more about this, but let me get this first break of hour 2 out of the way. We'll come back and talk more right here where you've got it. The Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With private healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
I'll leave for a little while. And all you other letters think you can take over my town. Look at you. None is even a vowel. If the people want the money they deserve for their accident,
The E-guarantee.
and as for you other letters, it's time you were erased.
That's right, the Clarence Bug Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La CONTEA takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La CONTEA, your Italian dining will change forever.
Welcome back to the midweek edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Wake up in the truck, Marty. Wake up in the truck. All right, there you go. Thank you, Alan. Boom. Better late than never, right? There you go. If you're just tuning in, first of all, shame on you. Where have you been all morning? Second, you know, I try so very hard not to wear my feelings on my shoulders. As an American, if I allow myself to think this way, I will have my black feelings on my shoulders. I will have my Christian feelings on my shoulders. I will have my American feelings on my shoulder. I will have my heterosexual feelings on my shoulders. Yeah, and yes, I've been called blatantly heterosexual. Thank you, God. So I try not to wear all of these because when you subscribe to that theory, you end up with a hump in your back because you've got so much on your shoulders all the time. You follow me? A dear departed buddy of mine was fond of the saying that the camel was a horse before he went through the committee. Meaning, by the time you let a committee finish dealing with something, you end up with a hump in your back. Talking about Rutgers University's English department and their decision to de-emphasize the rules of grammar to show solidarity with Black Lives Matter. This is so wrong on so many levels. If you read the paper, the email, the reasoning behind all of this, irony of ironies, they didn't ignore any rules of grammar in explaining themselves. They didn't write the email in Ebonics. They didn't write the email, this whole presentation, ignoring the traditional rules of grammar. But to show solidarity with Black Lives Matter, this is what we're going to do. All the while, never realizing maybe you had good intentions, maybe it's your white guilt, I don't know. But never realizing how much you are handicapping young black people. Now, here's the kicker in all of this. This rule that they are now about to institute, this is not for freshmen, it's not for sophomores, it is not for juniors, nor is it for seniors. Y'all ready for this? This is for graduate students. This is for individuals trying to earn a master's degree, trying to earn a PhD. If it weren't so freaking stupid, it might be funny. Graduate students. Now, let's understand something here. If your subject and verb don't agree, English teachers, cover your ears in 3, 2, 1. You ain't got no business in college. If you can't conjugate a verb, what in God's name are you doing in grad school? If you don't understand the difference between past tense, present tense, and future tense, how in God's name did you make it to Rutgers, much less to graduate school? This is so insulting. I can only think that it's got to be done either out of pure, unadulterated ignorance or malice. As an educator, someone who went to school, earned a degree, pursued one of the noblest professions in all of the world, teaching, and you decide it's a good idea to change the rules of grammar to show solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And this comes out of academia. Be afraid, y'all. Be very afraid. You know, it's one thing, and you've probably heard me say this before, especially if you've listened to me on radio for God knows how many years. You've heard me say, everything that comes up does not need to come out. Just because you have a thought does not mean it is worthy of sharing with the rest of the world, particularly if it's in academia. I cannot imagine sitting in a faculty meeting of the English department at Rutgers University, and the chairperson says, okay, on to item number 3. You'll see in your folder there on today's agenda an item entitled De-emphasizing the Rules of Grammar. Excuse me? I'm an English teacher. I teach English. Like every other language on the planet, there are certain rules that go with it. You're telling me, as someone who spent all these years looking up to teachers, someone who spent all these years and all this money to earn a degree to teach English, you're telling me that's okay about the rules of grammar. What they're missing here, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, that they just didn't think about this. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's not malicious. What else can we do to set black people back or hold them down? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's not that. What they're missing here is that, number one, without knowing and understanding the rules of grammar, you cannot compose a readable business, education, or theoretical document. You can't do it. You have no credibility. Any person reading your thesis that runs across the line in researching whatever it is your thesis is on, I'll be of the opinion this is what it says. Really? Credibility? Out the window. Gone. Grad school. What they're missing here is that the most important asset an individual has walking in for a job interview, walking in to a bank for a business loan, the most important asset you have is how you present yourself. You are handicapping people. A group of individuals, by the way, who are already behind the 8 ball when a black man walks into a bank and the bank loan officer says, "Hi, can I help you?" "Yeah, I'd like to take out a loan. I'm gonna start a business." "Okay, what kind of business is it?" And you get into that conversation. If that individual, when the question is posed by the loan manager, "Okay, so have you typed up a business plan?" "Sure have." You hand it to him. It is chocked full of grammatical errors. What do you think the chances of you getting that loan are? It's like not so very long ago, my fiance, God bless her, it was priceless to see the look on her face. We're driving through my old neighborhood, and there's a group of 4 young black men walking through. And one young man had his pants below his buttocks. And I said to my fiance, I said, "I gotta stop." She's like, "Oh God, no." No. She saw me rolling the window down. She knew what was on my mind by the look on my face. So I rolled the window down. I said, "Excuse me, little brother, how you doing?" "I'm doing okay, sir. How are you?" I said, "I'm doing fine." I said, "Quick question, man. What do you want to be when you grow up?" He said, "Oh, I'd like to be a tattoo artist." I said, "Okay, that's an honest day's living for an honest day's pay. I understand that." I said, "Question for you. Would you one day like to own your own tattoo parlor instead of working for somebody else?" "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah." I said, "Okay. What do you think when you go to the bank to ask for a loan to start your own business? What do you think the manager's going to say if you walk into the bank with your pants like that?" You could see the light come on. All he could do was, "Yeah, you're right." And he pulled them up. I said, "Thank you, young brother. Thank you, young brother. I appreciate that more than you know." Now, once I got around the corner, he's with his friends. He may have yanked them back down. I don't know. But many young people behind the 8 ball these days are that way simply because they weren't told any better. When an English department at an Ivy League school in the grad studies program, listen, my daughter, God bless her, 2 years ago got her master's from Georgetown. If my child had said, we had a good time at the graduation, and we went out after it was over, and boy, we's had a good time. At Georgetown, it's freaking Rutgers, the grad program. But to show solidarity with Black Lives Matter, we are no longer going to emphasize following the rules of grammar. Next time, English department at Rutgers, just spit in my face. I'd respect you more. I would. I can only hope that the black students, the parents, the faculty will rebel against this. Because at the end of the day, you're not showing solidarity. You're hurting people. And this is our future. Now listen, I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear this. That's okay. That's your right as an American. But I mentioned many times people are ignorant or downtrodden because no one has told them. I pledge to you, you will not listen to this show and then come away and say you weren't told. Just saying. Got to get another break done. Oh, this is so insulting. Such is the world in which we now live. Next to last break. Bang it out, come back, talk more on the Wednesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show right here on the Pelican. Stay close.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Bellelo's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bellele's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Welcome back to the midweek edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Yes, I was meditating in the last commercial break. Chanting and doing Tai Chi and all of that. So I'm composed again.
Did I piss you off?
No, Rutgers ticked me off. You know, one of the things that I have a very, 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 very minute tolerance for is pandering. That's what Rutgers is doing here. And in the wake of all the social upheaval in our country, you start to find out by simply watching and listening who people really are. And in political circles, panderers dominate the landscape. Well, at least those in high-profile positions. For example, presumptive Democrat nominee Joe Biden making a big deal this week out of the fact that he's considering 4 black women as a running mate. I guess that's supposed to excite people of color, or particularly women, because, you know, it's everybody wants to be a first, everybody wants to be a part of, quote, progress, the whole nine. Never once taking into account, are they the best person for the job? Not that they may not be, but just on GP, on general principle. Joe Biden has already told us, and here's where, when you start to analyze these things, here's where it gets interesting. Joe Biden has already told us that if you have a problem figuring out whether you want to vote for me or for Donald Trump, you ain't black enough. Okay, if you say so, Joe. The inference being, y'all black folk always vote Democrat. I mean, what is there to think about? Ain't nothing else to think about. If you confused and don't know who to vote for, then you ain't black enough. Well, I ask you to consider this, Joe. If you want me to get excited, enthused about a black female potentially being the vice president of the United States, it's hard for me, Joe, and I'm gonna tell you why. We had a black president for 8 years, a Democrat, and nothing changed in the black community. We have voted, black people, en masse for the Democrat Party almost exclusively for the last 50 plus years. And yet, we are still the least educated, the most incarcerated, the most aborted, the least earning potential, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And yet, I'm supposed to take your word for it that all of this will change because I will have a black female as a running mate. Pandering. It's called pandering, and it's disgusting. Don't assume, and this is a huge part, y'all, of why we find ourselves in this country where we find ourselves. Please, I beseech you, I beg you, stop making assumptions and presumptions about other people. Joe Biden is of the opinion, if I got a female running mate, not only will I get all the black vote if she's a black female, but I'll get some spillover from women that want to see the first female vice president. Yeah, that's the ticket. Literally and figuratively. I don't need to tell you the age-old adage of what happens when you assume. And many times, people pander because of their erroneous assumptions. When all is said and done, I give less than a flying you-know-what about the gender or the color of the skin of the person occupying the highest or the second highest office in the land. For that matter, I give less than a flying you-know-what about the color or the gender of the person representing me on the local level. All I care about is, are you qualified to do the job, and what are you going to do to make the lives better of the individuals that you have sworn an oath to uphold the laws of their land? That's all I care about. The rest of that window dressing, you can take that and stick it somewhere. And if this were Sirius XM satellite radio, I could tell you where in the anatomy to put it, but that's a different show for a different day. At some point, y'all, we have got to take a long, hard look, particularly people of color, black folk that look like me. We got to sit down and figure out what we are doing with the most precious right we have in this country to decide who we want to lead us. At the end of the day, it is particularly hurtful to me because as a Louisianian, sadly, I've had to come to grips with the fact that we are at the top of all the bad lists and pretty much at the bottom of all the good ones. Now just imagine, as painful a pill as that is to swallow, just imagine if you're like me, a black man. And aside from being at the top of all the bad lists and the bottom of all the good ones, you are at the very top of the bad list and the very bottom of the good ones. When do we get sick and tired of being sick and tired? That's rhetorical. Y'all will get that later. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back and put a big old bow on this puppy and wrap up the midweek edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. Right where you've got it, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La CONTEA takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La CONTEA, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Jaguar Nation, we need your help in masking up Louisiana.
Masking up will slow the spread of COVID-19.
During this time, we must continue to wear a mask, wash our hands, and practice social distancing.
It's important that we continue to abide by the CDC's guidelines to stop the spread.
Jaguar Nation, we challenge you to mask up.
Go Jags!
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 AIRLINE Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
That's right, the Clarence Bug Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back for the final segment of our midweek edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Don't forget the Exiles, Kevin Gallagher, Bill Profita, same bat time, same bat channel, same bat location on tomorrow. And if you've not already done so, make it a point. Check out Hurricane Betsy Barnes, my dear friend Betsy Barnes, and my other dear friend, Dr. K. Solar, and Rocket Right TV right here on the Pelican. As we watch society deal with race problems, social upheaval, all the other things, every now and then you run across a story that is poetic justice at its finest. So much so, it is hilariously funny. You probably recognize the name Jemele Hill. Black female sports reporter, writer, commentator. Recently, she tweeted, quote, if you vote for Trump, you're a racist. No wiggle room. End of post. You remember me saying earlier this hour, just because something comes up does not necessarily mean it needs to come out. Jemele Hill, in tweeting, if you vote for Trump, you're a racist. Well, come to find out, her mother voted for Donald Trump. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. Irony of ironies. If you vote for Trump, you're a racist. So, is that where all your anger comes from? Because your mother's a racist? Just because you have a thought. And I know for many people, it's been dormant up here for so long that you get excited when you have a thought. I want to share this with everybody. No, Hoss, keep that one to yourself. Irony of ironies. Got to give you guys and girls a heads up on something. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have added all sorts of acronyms and terms to the American lexicon. We have all become familiar with heretofore unseen in our great country practices that come into play every single day. Wearing a mask, social distancing, hand sanitizing. For many people, the easier of those three, wearing a mask, social distancing, sanitizing your hands, of those three, keeping your hands clean is probably the easier of the three. You can go off and leave your mask. You better not go off and leave your hands, okay? Social distancing, anywhere you go these days, it's marked on the floor, okay? All you got to do is look down. You're already doing that because you're in your phone probably more than likely anyway, so that's easy to do. Give you guys and girls a heads up. As if you didn't have enough on your plate already, right? The FDA, speaking of acronyms, the Food and Drug Administration, now includes 75 hand sanitizers that are toxic, meaning it will make you sick and potentially kill you. The ingredients, for those of you that never read the ingredients on the label of bottles and boxes of things that you bring into your home and use daily, you might want to start, or at least go to the FDA's website and look at the list. 75 hand sanitizers on their list of products to avoid at all cost. Many of them have methanol. Clarence, isn't that stuff I put in my gas tank for the flex vehicle? Yes, sir. Who in their right mind thinks methanol would be a good thing to put in hand sanitizer? Well, it's a haul, like alcohol. Yeah, it's okay. Put some of that in there. It's a preservative. There you go. There you go. Read, y'all. Read. It's been fun, but I gotta go. And you already know, you're right, America, we're not perfect. But doggone it, for my money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. You know by now that the Lord loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Either way, there ain't a doggone thing you could do about either one. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time. God bless.